and particularly some of the folks from fire rescue from 17s and 26s that were on the scene immediately last week on this fire. I can't thank them enough for their great hard work. We want to make sure today all here united is a constant reminder that during fire season, and particularly peak Santa Ana wind season, the folks are being prepared, making your emergency preparations, and also we want the public to be part of our eyes and ears, particularly when it comes out to our canyons and difficult spaces to reach us out in open spaces. That if you see something suspicious, to please let the police department know right away. If you see an encampment, to use the Get It Done app so we can send workers out to get folks help, to get them services, and to get them out of a dangerous, unsafe, unclean environment in our canyons. That is incredibly important, particularly during peak fire season. So we will have all of our city crews out there again, ensuring that we're getting folks out of dangerous conditions, but we're also asking the public to help us as well, as I said, to use that Get It Done app, and we can make sure that we direct our personnel out there to help make sure that we have a safe environment in our canyons and our open spaces. Again, I can't say enough about the incredible teamwork that occurred last week between all of our fire rescue, our San Diego Police Department personnel. Incredibly important. We all know how critical it is, particularly during Santa Ana wind conditions, when we have some of this dry humidity, for everyone to be vigilant. And please to help us be extra eyes and ears when it comes to some of our canyons and our open spaces, particularly with the dry weather that we are having. So I'm happy to turn it over. I'll turn it over to Chief Stoll, give us some other thoughts as we are, once again in a Santa Ana condition, talk about some of the preparations of our fire rescue department, and then I'll turn it over to Chief Dave Nisley. Chief Stoll?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. So our city faces year-round fire season. However, San Diegans are well too familiar with these particular weather conditions that we face at this particular time of the year. Some of you may recall that today is the 12th anniversary of the Witch Fire, and this Friday, October 25th, will be the 16th anniversary of the devastating Cedar Fire. We monitor weather very closely, and as you know, we increased our staffing levels yesterday as well as today because of the Santa Ana conditions. Our department increases our staffing based on weather conditions as well as fire activity all throughout the state of California, because that really determines what our mutual aid levels will be when we call for assistance. Our crews did an outstanding job last week in protecting each and every home in this neighborhood, and no one was hurt. Our fire investigators from the Metro Arson Strike Team investigated the fire, and although they were not able to determine the exact cause of the fire, they were able to determine the area of origin and where it started. We do know that where that fire started, there was a homeless encampment. And as the mayor mentioned, it's important for those who see an active encampment to report it using the Get It Done app. Also, if you see smoke and flames, call 911. The sooner that we can start rolling to those fires, the better, especially in these extreme conditions. As we saw last week and in recent fire incidents, we provide a lot of important details on our Twitter feed. So please follow us and San Diego Police Department's Twitter feed to find out really verified information, updated information that you can use to protect your family and your home. San Diego Fire Rescue crews are ready, and we strongly encourage the public to be ready as well. Finally, there's a very helpful guide on our homepage. If you go to sandiego.gov/fire, and it's called Ready, Set, Go. It has a ton of information on how each and every family can prepare themselves in case of a wildfire or any other emergency. It's also available in English and Spanish. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the Chief of Police, Chief Dave Nisley.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, and thank you for being here. I'm very proud of the work the men and women of the San Diego Police Department and the men and women of the San Diego Fire did here last week in containing this fire and doing evacuations. I also want to say thank you to the community of this neighborhood for having patience and cooperation as we moved in here very quickly to address this fire, but also to do evacuations and moving people out of harm's way. as you heard both the mayor and the fire chief talk about, safety is for everybody, and all San Diegans play a major part in talking about safety. So when you see an encampment or you see possibly juveniles playing in a canyon or something like that, and you have your concerns, please call us at minimum use to get it done at, so we can look into this, because again, fire safety starts with all San Diegans. And I'm very proud of the work that, again, that the men and women did, and I just want to say thank you.
Any of us will be available for any questions. Go ahead, Chief and Chief.
Some of the residents that we talked to this morning were saying that they take the time to clear around their house, you know, try and get 100 foot on a canyon. But they say that they want to know what the city's doing about weeding out the canyons so they don't get all that fuel.
Sure. So we have a very aggressive brush management program. We do have code enforcement officers that go out and monitor that. We encourage residents to take and do their fair share as far as the defensible space and how they harden their structures. Removing combustibles around their home, clearing the areas 100 feet from their property there. The city also prioritizes different canyons, different open spaces throughout the city. They do what we can do as far as the prioritization of that to make sure that we go in and clear those areas out. There's a lot of protected areas also throughout the city of San Diego, that areas that we have limited ability to clear those areas out. But we do work with many of the communities and well as with the homeowners to prioritize that and make sure we get environmental services out there, as well as transportation and stormwater, who assist us in the brush management part of that.
Can you talk about pro or con in terms of the area where this fire was? It could have been in terms of, all right, somebody did a good job, or somebody, we still need to do a little work there where this fire was?
So this particular area, obviously with the encampments in the area, increased the fire danger. The palm trees along that area on the Fairmont, obviously those are highly combustible and caused a lot of that fire progression there. Again, we prioritize the areas as far as the thickness of the brush, the fuel conditions, and the areas surrounding that. And so we work towards that. But I will tell you that last week's response to that, really, the couple of things that played a key role is the quick response of the crews that got in there, the aerial aircraft that were available. We were very fortunate to not have a lot of fire activity in the county, so all of the resources were here. And if you saw how many helicopters were involved in that, and we were attacking that fire from the air, we were very fortunate there because those resources were available.
Does that emphasize that there can be a thin margin when we've got stuff elsewhere and it's really cold?
Absolutely, and we've seen that when we have increased fire activity throughout the county or to the north of us. It starts drawing resources up there, and we have limited resources down here. So we are very conservative with what we try to keep here in the San Diego County, but last week we were very fortunate that we had about every resource possible there.
Terrific. Yeah.
Are there any plans to remove the palm trees in the city canyons? There are a lot of canyons that have them.
So our brush management inspectors, again, they'll go out and determine and prioritize those canyons. However, some of it's private property, some of it's also owned by MTS, and so they're working with the property owners for those areas, especially to try to remove the dead palm fronds that are underneath those trees and the vegetation that's at the base of those. So unfortunately, because of the number of open spaces and what we call the wildland urban interface properties that butt up against open space or canyons, they can really only get out there every 3 years on the monitoring of those.
All right, thank you all. Really appreciate, again, everybody coming out here today, getting that word out to help with our eyes and ears, particularly out in our canyons. Again, I can't say enough about our fire rescue personnel, the very quick work. Fire safety is everyone's responsibility. It's all of us. We've got all extra staffing over the next 3 days. I want to encourage, again, everybody, if you see something happening out in the canyon that you do not think is right, certainly call right away. We're all in this together. So thank you, and we'll get out of the sun, and any of us will be available for any one-on-one questions. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Coming down, guys. Appreciate it. Standing in the sun.